I'm Tammy from Bumble's Cake Emporium, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create this stunning striped bow which will add a wow factor to your cakes. To create this bow you're going to need some modelling paste, I use Saracino, a cutting mat, a sharp blade or scalpel, a metal ruler, some edible glue and a cake smoother. So begin by rolling out your modelling paste. In this case I've used Saracino. You want to roll it out so you've got a long strip that's approximately 3 inch wide by about 9 inches long and a thickness of 2 millimeters. Now you want to set this to one side and let it firm up for approximately 10 minutes. And then you're going to do the same thing with some white modelling paste. Again, set it to one side for about 10 minutes until it's firmed up a little. So now we're going to go back to the black modelling paste, and using a metal ruler and a very sharp blade, ideally a scalpel, you're going to cut thin strips approximately 7 millimeters wide, and you're going to need at least 8 of these. I always cut some extra in case anything goes wrong. So now it's time to start attaching the black strips onto the white modelling paste. Use the edge of the silver metal ruler to just get a nice straight edge on the first piece of the black fondant. I'm going to show you a little video later that shows how what technique I use to get that to stick, so we'll just move on to the next step. You need to repeat this step 4 times so that you've got 4 black stripes running across the top of your white modelling paste. Now it's time to take your cake smoother, and you're just going to press ever so gently down the black stripes so that it sticks to the top of the white modelling paste. Once you've got all 4 stripes in place, you can trim off the excess of the white so you've got nice sharp edges. Then you need to repeat this process again, so you end up with 2 panels, each with 4 stripes. These are going to form the main part of the bow. So now you're going to need to form the loops of the bow. So you can use anything really to form the shape. I used a couple of sprinkle pots and some clean kitchen towels. Repeat this on both sides until you're happy with the shape. Next, you need to use the smallest amount of edible glue or even water, and you're just going to stick the 2 open ends together. Press down gently until both sides are attached, and then you're going to pinch so you create the ripples that will form the centre of your bow. And now you need to set these pieces aside to dry out. I made mine about 2 weeks ago, and I left them in a cardboard box with some food safe silica gel sachets inside. That helps absorb any moisture. Make sure they don't touch the bow itself, just put them in the box. So on the day that you need to start creating your cake, you need to make the tails, and you're going to do exactly the same process by cutting black strips of modelling paste and sticking them onto the white modelling paste. And then you just need to trim off the edges so that you've got tails of ribbon. You can remove the excess black from the white, and because you've not used any edible glue, they will peel off cleanly. And again, I'll show you a video of that at the end. And then the fun part begins. You can start attaching the tails of the bow onto the front of your cake. This time you will need to use edible glue or even some royal icing, and hold them in place until they're stuck nice and firmly. And then you need to do the same with the main bow. Be really careful at this point, because although they have set really firmly for about a week or 2, they are still really fragile. So attach them carefully with your royal icing, but hold them in place. Once you're really confident that the bow is not going to move anywhere and you've let it set for a good 20 minutes or so, then you can add a centre detail. Here you can see I've made an edible gem for the centre using a mould, and I've painted this with edible gold paint. And then I like to finish it off with an absolutely beautiful acrylic topper. And there you have it, your finished cake with a stunning, striking edible bow.
Right, so I know most of this tutorial has been pictures, but I wanted to just do a little video to show you how to get the really straight lines. So as I've said earlier, I've cut the black strips of sugar paste, or modelling paste actually, and I've let it set quite firm, and the same with the big strip. Needs to be modelling paste, definitely not fondant. And then all I'm going to do is just place it along here, and I want to get the lines as neat as I can. And then I use a metal rule, and I'm just going to slide that to the edge just to make sure that I'm getting a really straight line. And I'm going to leave that metal rule in place. I'm just going to press really lightly, and then with my finger, and this is the lightest touch imaginable. There's no edible glue. Don't use edible glue. It will just smudge black all over your white, and it's not necessary. Each time you slide your finger over, apply just a tad more pressure, and each time you press firmer, you can feel more confident that that black line is not going to move anywhere. So then you can just rub nice and gently, but again applying a bit more pressure until you feel like that's nice and secure. At that point you can move the metal rule away, and then again just along the edges, just to break the sharp line and make sure it's nicely in place and adhered to the modelling paste. And then you can see if I pick it up, it's not going to go anywhere. I'll show you that again. So place your black strip as close but in place as you can to the other ones. That's a little bit wide. I'm really pernickety about things like this. I want it to be as neat as possible. Take your time. It's not a rush. If you want perfection, if you want really straight lines, take your time. So again, use the edge of your metal rule and just the lightest touch. And I literally mean you're almost tickling it. And you'll see that the strips start out thinner, but as you press them down with each slightly firmer stroke, the black will flatten out and become a little bit wider. Okay, so I'm happy with that one. Remove the rule, and again just press again. Okay, I'm going to keep this video going because I want to show you the next bit after I've put the fourth strip on. This is a really wide ribbon because it's going to go with the bow that I made earlier, and you can see how big that is compared to my hands. It's a really big bow. Now I made this about 2 weeks ago and I let it dry out. I put some towel inside and a couple of circular, I actually used sprinkles containers just to keep the shape, and then I put it in a cardboard box with silica gel sachets just to dry it out. Don't be tempted to move it, just be really patient, let it dry out. Okay, so again, making sure that this is against the metal rule and the right distance apart from the previous one. Nice light touch, like this. And each time a little bit firmer. I'm going a bit faster now because I feel confident that it's not going to slide. But if you're doing this for the first time, as I said before, really fine strokes of pressure. So once you're happy that they're in place, the next thing I do is I use a smoother. Make sure it's nice and clean underneath, and I'm just going to gently press and slide, and then this will just make sure that the stripes are nicely in place. So the next thing, we're going to cut off the extra. So again, metal rule. I always use a scalpel blade, nice and sharp, mind your fingers. And then we're just going to take off that edge and discard the bit we don't want, and then turn the whole thing over, and we're going to repeat that. going to take off the edge. So now I don't need that amount of sugar paste, so I'm just going to take off the extra. In fact, I'll just do one bit. And the reason I wanted to show you this bit is because to prove to you that by not using edible glue, you're not going to waste any of your very valuable sugar paste. So if you can see here, all I'm going to do is lightly pick it up and it leaves no marks, and then we've not wasted that, or we don't have to have a pot of grey. Anything that's stuck, just pick it off, and that bit can be reused, and so can the black. I'm going to put those to one side, and then this is one of the ones I made earlier. So you can see this one's a little bit longer, but that's okay because I'd rather have it too long and be able to use it in a more creative way. So again, I'm just going to create my bow edge, nice sharp scalpel blade, corner to corner, and then you've got the points. And again, I want to show you, this should just peel off so that you're not wasting any of the sugar paste. You'll always waste a little bit. I like to be frugal and save as much as I can. I'm going to lose that bit. But anyway, you can see the process. So it's really important while you're working on the pieces for the tails, you don't want those to dry out like you do the bow part. So keep it inside some polythene wrap so that it doesn't dry out. And then I'm just going to make this next tail a tiny bit longer so I can be a bit more creative with it. I can always cut it off later. There.